Hi, it's me, Mia Giggly Guppy. Today we're going to continue reading The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. It's been a while since I've read from this book, so I'm looking forward to continuing today. So we are on chapter 6, which is called Light, and we're in the creation section. So we're on chapter 6, Light. The soul is not physical, yet it is the force field of your being. The higher self is not physical, yet it is the living template of the evolved human, the fully awakened personality. The experience of intuition cannot be explained in terms of the five senses because it is the voice of the non-physical world. Therefore, it is not possible to understand your soul or your higher self or your intuition without coming to terms with the existence of non-physical reality. Knowing in the cognitive sense cannot produce proof of non-physical reality any more than it can produce proof of God. Proof of non-physical reality does not exist in the dimension that the rational mind seeks it. Therefore, when you ask from the perspective of the five-sensory personality, does non-physical reality exist? What you really are asking is, if I cannot prove the existence of non-physical reality, do I decide that it is nonsensical? Do I decide that there is no answer? Or do I expand myself to the level at which the answer can be given? When a mind asks a question that suggests a different level of truth, no matter what the question, expansion has always been the way of the scientist, the pursuer of truth. At one time in our evolution, for example, the question was asked, are there forms of life that are smaller than the eye can see? From the five-sensory perception, the answer was no. Someone did not accept that answer, and the microscope was invented. Then the question, do parts of nature exist that are smaller than what can be seen through a microscope? When asked, and again from the five-sensory perception, the answer was no. But we did not stop and instead discovered and developed a rich understanding of atomic and subatomic phenomena. As we created the tools to see, that which was once considered non-existent became existent, but we had to expand first. The challenge and the task for the advanced or expanding mind is to expand to a level at which questions that cannot be answered from within the accepted understanding of truth can be answered. What is non-physical reality? Non-physical reality is your home. You came from non-physical reality. You will return to non-physical reality, and the larger part of you currently resides in and involves in non-physical reality. The same is true for each of the billions of human beings upon this planet. Therefore, the majority of your interactions with other human beings occurs in non-physical reality. For example, when you think loving thoughts of someone who is close to you emotionally, such as a family member, you shift the quality of your consciousness, and this contributes to his or her energy system. If a daughter who harbors resentment toward her father, for example, evolves into a deeper understanding of her relationship with him, such as an understanding of the karmic role that he has played in activating within her a major lesson of love or responsibility, and if her intention to heal herself and her relationship with her father is deep and clear, do not think even for an instant that her father is not aware of this, even if she does not speak to him. He is not aware consciously, but his whole being feels what she is doing. His conscious mind may feel it through sudden movements of sentimentalism about things that he had not thought about before, or he may suddenly look at pictures of his daughter as a young child and feel a pull in his heart, even though he is not consciously aware of why he is feeling what he is feeling or doing what he is doing. You participate in this form of data bank exchange, so to speak, with all the souls that you are close to, and to some extent with all the souls that touch your life. As you shift your data bank content and the information that you send to a soul, it is processed through his or her own system. It is at that level that the cause and effect of your intentions, the way that you choose to shape your energy, influences others. How does this happen? You are a system of light, as are all beings. The frequency of your light depends upon your consciousness. When you shift the level of your consciousness, you shift the frequency of your light. If you choose to forgive someone who has wronged you, for example, rather than to hate that person, you shift the frequency of your light. If you choose to feel affection or kinship with a person rather than distance or coldness, you shift the frequency of your light. Emotions are currents of energy with different frequencies. Emotions that we think of as negative, such as hatred, envy, disdain, and fear, have a lower frequency and less energy than emotions that we think of as positive, such as affection, joy, love, and compassion. When you choose to replace a lower frequency current of energy, such as anger, with a higher frequency current, such as forgiveness, you raise the frequency of your light. When you choose to allow higher frequency currents of energy to run through your system, you experience more energy. When a person is despairing, for example, or anxious, he or she feels physically depleted because he or she has emerged with an energy current of low frequency. A person in this situation becomes heavy and dull, whereas a joyous person abounds with energy and feels buoyant because he or she is running a higher level current of energy through his or her system. Different thoughts create different emotions. Thoughts of vengeance, violence, and greed, or thoughts of using others, for example, create emotions such as anger, hatred, jealousy, and fear. These are low frequency currents. These are low frequency currents of energy, and therefore they lower the frequency of your light or consciousness. Creative or loving or caring thoughts invoke high frequency emotions such as appreciation, forgiveness, and joy, and raise the frequency of your system. If your thoughts are thoughts that draw low frequency energy currents to you, your physical and emotional attitudes will deteriorate, and emotional or physical disease will follow. Whereas thoughts that draw high frequency energy currents to you create physical and emotional health. Lower frequency systems pull energy from higher frequency systems. If you are aware of your emotions and your thoughts, your frequency will be lowered by, and you will lose energy to a system of lower frequency than your own. We say, for example, that a depressed person is draining, or that he or she sucks up energy. A system of sufficiently high frequency will soothe or calm or refresh you because of the effect of the quality of its light upon your system. Such a system is radiant. By choosing your thoughts and by selecting which emotional currents you will release and which you will reinforce, you determine the quality of your light. You determine the effects that you will have upon others and the nature of the experiences in your life. Light represents consciousness. When we do not understand a thing, we say that we must bring it to light. If we are confused, we say that our process needs more light. When a sudden idea reorders our thoughts, we say that the light came on. And when a person is fully conscious, we say that he or she is enlightened. When you release a negative thought or a negative feeling, you release lower frequency currents of energy from your system, and this literally allows an increase in the frequency of your consciousness. Thinking of the universe in terms of light, frequencies, and energies of different frequencies, in the terms that have become familiar to us through the study of physical light, is not merely metaphorical. It is a natural and powerful way to think of the universe, because physical light is a reflection of non-physical light. Physical light is not the light of your soul. Physical light travels at a certain velocity. It cannot go faster. The light of your soul is instantaneous. There is no time between a daughter's loving intention toward her father and the soul of her father understanding that intention. Instantaneousness, therefore, is very much a part of your life. In non-physical reality, the decisions that you make in terms of how you choose to use your energy have effects that are instantaneous. They are one with who and what you are. Energies that emanate from your soul have instantaneousness to them. Energies that emanate from your personality follow the path of physical light. Fear, for example, is an experience of the personality. The soul can be confused and away from light, but it does not experience fear. If the soul experiences an absence of light from a part of itself, the personality will experience this absence of light as fear. That fear is of the personality and therefore of space and time. Unconventional love is of the soul, instantaneous, universal, not bound. Just as visible light is one portion, like an octave, in a continuum of energy of graduated frequencies that extend below and above what the eye can see, the continuum of non-physical light extends below and above, so to speak, the frequency range in which the human exists. The human experience is a particular frequency range in the continuum of non-physical light in the same way that visible light is a particular frequency range in the continuum of physical light. Other intelligences inhabit other ranges of frequency. These forms of life do not exist elsewhere from us. Just as infrared light, ultraviolet light, microwave light, and many, many other frequencies and ranges of frequencies coexist with the visible light spectrum, but are invisible to us. The life forms that are characterized by different frequency ranges of non-physical light coexist with us, but are invisible to us. In the place that you now sit exist many different beings or groups of beings, each active and evolving in its own reality and in its own way. These realities commingle with yours in the same way that microwave radiation exists alongside of visible light, but is undetectable to the human eye. Our species is evolving from one frequency range in the spectrum of non-physical light into another, higher range of frequency. This is the evolution of the five-sensory personality into the multisensory personality. The multisensory personality is more radiant and energetic than the five-sensory personality. It is aware of the light of its soul, and it is able to detect and to communicate with forms of life that are invisible to the five-sensory personality. The universe is a hierarchy that has no bottom and no top. Between the levels of the hierarchy, there is an understanding that higher perceptions can be a part of and are encouraged to be a part of the experience of lower plane spirits as they strive to expand their own awareness. Thus, there is always a higher level of assistance. You are involved in this process, although your personality is unaware of this because it is done at the level of your soul. There is much that the five-sensory personality is unaware of, and much that even a fully empowered multisensory personality will not remember until, at the end of its life, it returns to non-physical reality. You are not aware of the many lifetimes of the past and future personalities of your soul, for example, but the intensity of parts of your being derives directly from its lifetimes, just as do some of your relationships. If an aspect of your being manifests physically, such as the aspect of you as teacher or you as warrior, then there are connected non-physical aspects that are also active and participating in the teaching or the warring dynamic from the non-physical realms of which you are a part and bonded to. The aspect of self that you bring to bear in a physical moment represents a force that is many, many times more significant and complex. Our non-physical assistance comes from ranges of non-physical light that are higher in frequency than our own. The intelligences that assist and guide us unconsciously in the case of the five-sensory personality and consciously in the case of the multisensory personality are of a higher rank and certain than we, and therefore can provide us with a quality of guidance and assistance that we cannot give to each other. The five sensory personality associates rank with a hierarchy with graduated levels of worth, and it associates a lower rank with a hierarchy with less worth, less ability to control others, and more vulnerability. From the point of view of the universe, all the ranks of creation are of equal value, all are precious. When seen through authentically empowered eyes, a being with a higher rank in creation is one that has more ability to see without obstruction, more ability to live in love and wisdom, and more ability and desire to help others evolve into the same love and light. Each human soul has both guides and teachers. A guide is not a teacher. Guides are what might be thought of as experts in fields that are called in for consultation. If you are writing a book, for example, or creating a project, or organizing an event, a guide that has the quality of warmth or creativity or insight that you wish to incorporate into your work is available to you. Teachers operate on a more personal plane of involvement, so to speak. Although they are impersonal energies that we personalize, that we feel a personal relationship with, a non-physical teacher brings you ever closer to your soul. It draws your attention to the vertical path and to the difference between the vertical path and the horizontal path. The vertical path is the path of awareness. It is the path of consciousness and conscious choice. The person who chooses to advance his or her spiritual growth, to cultivate awareness of his or her higher self, is on a vertical path. The vertical path is the path of clarity. The potential for the creation of clarity and the experience of interacting with your non-physical teacher are one and the same. The horizontal path is the path that satisfies your personality. A businesswoman or a businessman, for example, who devotes his or her life to the accumulation of money is on a horizontal path. No matter how diverse his or her ventures may become, they are essentially identical. If they make money, they please the personality. If they lose money, they distress the personality. But they do not serve the higher self. They do not serve his or her spiritual growth. A person that seeks relationships only to gratify his or her own needs, such as his or her own emotional or sexual needs, will find that each relationship is essentially identical, but the people in his or her life are replaceable, that experiences with the first and experiences with the second are essentially the same. This is the horizontal path. Each new experience is not really new. Excuse me. It is more of the same thing. To experience relationships of substance and depth requires approaching and entering into relationships with consciousness and concern for the other. That is the vertical path. This does not mean that learning does not occur in all situations, and that when a horizontal path is no longer appropriate to a soul's learning, that soul will not leave it behind. Sooner or later, each soul will turn toward authentic power. Every situation serves this goal, and every soul will reach it. The vertical path begins with the decision to do that consciously. Guides and teachers assist the soul in every phase of its evolution. The number of guides and teachers that a soul has depends upon what it seeks to accomplish and its level of awareness. Souls that take upon themselves projects of more magnitude bring to themselves more assistance. Your soul knows its guides and teachers. It drew upon their wisdom and compassion in charting the incarnation that became you. And that part of your soul that is you will be gathered into their waiting arms when the incarnation that is you comes to an end, when you go home. You receive loving guidance and assistance at each moment. At each moment, you are prompted and encouraged to move into light. The decisions that you make are yours to make. A non-physical teacher cannot and would not live your life for you. It will assist you through the learning experiences of your life. The answers that it can provide you depend upon the questions that you ask by questioning your own motivations, by praying or meditating and remaining open for the answer, or by asking directly, as in the case of the multisensory human that has developed this ability. When you ask one set of questions, one set of doorways opens before you, and when you ask other questions, other doorways open. In each instance, your teacher or teachers will advise you with impersonal compassion and clarity. It will help you to examine the probable results of each choice that you make. It will touch your feelings in ways that bring your awareness to areas that need to be healed. It will answer your questions, but you must ask them and therefore give directions to your own energy. It will advise you as to which course will most likely lead to which result, and it will continue to advise you with wisdom and compassion no matter what choices you make. A teacher can neither create nor remove karma for you. Not even a non-physical teacher can assume responsibility for your life for the way that you choose to use your energy, but a non-physical teacher can help you to understand that what your choices and your experiences represent. It can provide you with the knowledge that will allow you to choose responsibility and hopefully choose wisely. Therefore, the ability to draw consciously upon your non-physical guidance and assistance, to communicate consciously with a non-physical teacher, is a treasure that cannot be described, a treasure beyond words and value. Every decision that you make either moves you toward your personality or toward your soul. Each decision that you make is an answer to the question, how do you choose to learn love? How do you choose to learn authentic empowerment through doubt and fear or through wisdom? This is the heart of the Garden of Paradise story. The tree of truth given unto the entire human species said, learn. Which way do you wish to learn? This is the ultimate first act of free will. How do you wish to learn? The question continues in every one of our life situations. It is the eternal question. It is the longest running show on Broadway, so to speak. No matter what situation, no matter what moment, the Garden of Eden question continues and continues and continues. Each time the opportunity in every circumstance in miniature is, will you choose the way of doubt and fear, or will you choose the tree of wisdom? The tree of life, of knowledge, of truth, of wisdom is an opportunity of archetypal question. Adam and Eve, the male and female principles within the Garden of Eden, took the apple symbolically and misused knowledge. Their choice was to misuse knowledge, and therefore they created shame. That was not part of the human design up to that point. The misuse of knowledge, of truth, of wisdom produced embarrassment and shame. That gave rise to guilt. Guilt gave rise to fear, and so began the evolution of the human species. The decision to take the apple was a decision of the highest order of evolution, an order that cannot be conceived or even grappled with in the same context that we would use to understand a human decision. To speak of decisions, excuse me, in terms of an individual human life or in the terms of a larger body of individual human lives is very different from speaking about how the role of evolution and learning began billions of years ago with the human species. The decision to take the apple in the Garden of Eden story does not refer to one decision that was made by two humans who really existed in such a setting. It was not a decision such as you or I would make in terms of, do I choose this or that? The Garden of Paradise story describes the beginning of the whole experience of Earth and the human species. It refers to principles of energy that were brought to bear upon larger bodies of group consciousness that had stress, that had formation energies, creation energies. In their process of forming their own polarities that would become the polarities of the human experience, doubt and fear stood opposing to trust and light, and so they came into being. Yes, it is not inappropriate to understand the Garden of Eden story in terms of human choices between doubt and fear on the one hand and wisdom on the other, because the choice to learn through wisdom or through doubt and fear is very much part of every single challenge that every single human comes up against within every minute of every day. And this challenge reflects the dynamics that at a larger level of evolution were brought to bear upon our evolution. This brings us to the relationship between the choice, light, and physical reality. Nose itch. All right, so that is chapter 7. Wow. I really thought that was amazing, and it really it really coincides with what I have recently experienced, which I'll take a couple minutes now to talk about, and let me know if you're happy that I'm talking about my personal experience, or if you just want me to read. Just let me know. But um, over the past few weeks, I've been supporting a loved one who's been dealing with a lot of grief and over the death of a family member. And uh, this person is a mother of two very young children and partner, um, and has a lot of responsibility day to day. But in the crushing weight of the grief that this person was feeling, um, they were unable to take care of their children or be a contributing partner. It was like a complete breakdown, a complete stop of all functioning. It was just 100% grief. And for me, who's very close to this person and loves this person very much, there was a lot of fear for me. There was a lot of fear and uncertainty. And what I did was I meditated and prayed. And I'm not a religious person. I was brought up with a specific religion, but I'm a very, very spiritual person. And I believe in my higher power very strongly. And what I did was I prayed to my higher power that that higher power would hover over us and cover us in a blanket of grace, and that my higher power would guide me to do my higher power's will. So to help me show up the way my higher power wants me to. And amazingly, when I approach the situation with that level of trust and love, because I trusted that I was doing all I could, and that it was much better to lead with love than with fear. It's all the situation has improved, and I'm so grateful. So what I just read really resonates with what I have experienced recently in my own life. So, do you experience, did you connect with what I just read in any way? I would love to hear about it. And again, let me know, do you like my personal commentary? Would you rather I just read the book? I can make a separate video on my personal commentary if you're just interested in me reading the book. So just let me know. Um, Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next time when we continue with this beautiful, beautiful book, The Seat of the Soul by Gary Zukav. Take care.